I'd like to start this talk by asking the audience a few questions. First of all, how many of you like to save money? I know I could always use some more money in my pocket. College is expensive. Now, next question. How many of you could use more time? I often find myself short on time. I could really use some extra time in my day just to sit down and relax, or hang out with friends. I'm sure you could too. Now, how many of you consider yourselves environmentally aware? A lot of you. Who wouldn't like to consider themselves environmentally aware? Now, okay, last question. How many of you want more freedom? If the United States has an abundance of anything, it's freedom. But what if I told you that you could have even more freedom? So if you said yes to one or all of those questions, you should be interested to hear about something called the tiny house movement. Now, let me tell you what it is and how it can improve your life. Tiny houses are pretty self-explanatory. They're smaller than normal housing units and are often found on a trailer for mobility purposes. The tiny house movement took off back in 2007 when FEMA decided to make little cottages to house the victims of Hurricane Katrina. Although this was the first time tiny houses gained media attention in the States, tiny houses have been around for as long as civilization has. Some historical examples of tiny living are Mongolian yurts or huts used in tribal communities. Now, that you have an idea where tiny houses come from, let's move on to the important stuff. How does tiny living affect you, the consumer? Now, I asked about money earlier. Tiny living offers many ways to put more of your own paycheck into your pocket instead of flushing it down the toilet. The biggest way to save money with a tiny house is in the cost of the house itself. Owning your own house is an essential part of the American dream. But is this even possible with the amount of debt and job insecurity that today's college grads face? With the median house cost being just under $190,000 and an average student debt of $30,000 for college graduates, no one has the money to secure their own home after they graduate. Many grads are finding it necessary to move back with their parents, even though this might not be what they want. However, another option is building your own tiny house. You can build your own tiny house for as little as $15,000 if you're frugal and use recycled parts. If not, you can build your own tiny home for $30,000 to $35,000 using all new lumber and parts. Construction costs aren't the only way that you can save money by living tiny, though. You can also save money by having less space to clean. Less space to clean means fewer cleaning supplies you have to buy. Another advantage to having less space is that you buy less. When you have a limited space available, you tend to make the most of it. Tiny living isn't all about saving money, though. It can also save you time. By living in a tiny house, you'll spend less of your time cleaning and picking things up around your house than you would in a McMansion. You can easily clean and organize your tiny house in a matter of minutes. Think of all the time you waste cleaning your house only for it to get trashed again when people come over. Wouldn't you rather be doing something else? Of course you would. That's why you should build your own tiny house. Many of you said you consider yourselves environmentally aware, but how many of you know how much trash the average American produces on a daily basis? Each and every American produces 4.6 pounds of municipal solid waste every single day. In today's consumer society, we base a lot of personal worth on the amount of material goods that we're able to acquire. In these days of planned obsolescence and disposable everything, we tend to create a lot of trash when the next best thing appears on the market. What if we were to realize as a society that this isn't the way things should be, and that the way we are currently living is destroying the environment? Our world is destroying our world for future generations. It's time to consider a new way of living. Some people are well aware of this detrimental effect our lifestyles are having on the environment and are taking steps to throw away our throwaway culture. These are the people of the tiny house movement. Earlier, we talked about the American dream. So what is the American dream? For many people, it involves owning your own home, being able to travel freely, and starting your family. What if you could combine all these things into one, with a single change in your lifestyle? Tiny living is conducive to the American dream because it combines the ability to own your own home far more quickly than a lot of people who decide to live in traditional homes, with the freedom of being able to move wherever you want. All you have to do is attach your tiny house to the back of a vehicle and go wherever your heart desires. All roads lead to home with a tiny house. So, if you have yet to learn anything from this talk, it's that you should build your own tiny house and revel in the freedom that you never knew you could have. Tiny houses are cheaper than traditional houses, so you're able to save money. They allow you more time for yourself because you won't spend hours a week trying to keep your living space clean. And possibly the most important aspect of tiny living, you'll have less of a negative impact on the environment through using less energy and collecting fewer material goods. Remember, When it comes to your carbon footprint, size really does matter.